Good morning, everyone. Coming to the new lesson, that is reproduction in organisms. Yes, what is reproduction? It is simply nothing but multiplication. So, reproduction in simple terms, it is nothing but multiplication. What is the necessary for reproduction? When we are going to survive here, what is the need for reproduction? Yes, every organism on the earth has the death. The death may occur due to various reasons like age factor, predation, accident, diseases, or due to failures in the organism. So, to replace the dead individuals, the reproduction is going to occur. So, what happens without reproduction? So, what happens when there is no reproduction? The species community or the population may end or it may become extinct. So, for the continuation of life or to the continuation of race, the reproduction is necessary. So, what is reproduction? It is nothing but multiplication. What is the need for reproduction? Every organism on the earth has the death. The death, it may be due to the various reasons like age factor, predation, accident, diseases, or due to the failure in the organism. So, to replace the organism, reproduction is necessary and to continuity and to continue the race. Yes, and between the birth and death, there is a particular time where the organisms are going to survive. Between the birth and death, there is a particular time interval where the organism is going to survive. It is called as lifespan. The duration between the birth and death is called as lifespan. The lifespan differs from organisms to organism. Some of the organism they survive for few minutes, some for few hours, some for few days, months, years, and some of the organisms or the plants they survive for more years. They survive for more years. For example, the microorganisms they survive only for a particular period of minutes to hours, whereas some of the plants they survive for years, and some of the perennial plants they survive for thousands of years. What do you mean by perennial? The plants are classified into three types, that is annuals, biennials, and perennials. Annuals, they are going to complete the life cycle in one season. That is, they are going to the seed is going to germinate, they go vegetatively, they produce the flowers, they produce the seeds, and end their life within a particular period of short duration, within a season, that is called as annuals. Example, grasses. They grow only in the rainy season. Next, biennials. They are nothing but the leguminous plants. They are going to survive for two seasons. That is, the rainy season they grow vegetatively, whereas in the winter season they produce the flowers and seeds. That is called as reproductive season. Perennials, they perish or they survive for more years, for thousands of years, or for the hundreds of years, are called as perennial plants. So, more seasons or more years are called as perennial plants. The perennial plants they're going to survive from hundreds of years to thousands of years. So, when next, coming to why the plants have greater lifespan as compared to animals. The plants have greater lifespan as compared to animals. The plants consist of both dead cells and living cells. The plants consist of both dead cells and living cells. The dead cells they occur in xylem, they occur in phloem, they occur in cork, they occur in the sclerenchyma. They occur in the sclerenchyma. In the xylem, we are going to come across the four components. In the xylem, we are going to come across the four components like xylem, vessels, xylem, xylem, vessels, tracheids, parenchyma and fibers. Out of four, the tracheids, vessels and fibers are dead. Only the parenchyma, xylem parenchyma is living. In the phloem, we come across sieve tubes, companion cells, phloem parenchyma and phloem fibers. Out of four, the phloem fibers are dead. They are going to ask these questions in the CET. Identify the dead cell in the xylem. Sorry, in the phloem. That is xylem. Phloem fibers. Identify the living cell in the xylem. That is xylem parenchyma. They are going to ask these questions. They are going to usually ask in the CETs. What is the question? Identify the living cell in the xylem. That is xylem parenchyma. Identify the dead cell in the phloem. That is phloem fibers. Sclerenchyma, they are also the dead cells. They are going to give the mechanical support to the plants. Out of this, there are so many regions where the living cells are going to found, and the tip of the plant consists of the meristematic cells. These meristematic cells have the power of continuous division. The meristematic cells has the power of continuous division. As a result, the plants continues to grow until the end. As a result, the plants have greater lifespan when compared to animals because of the presence of the meristem, that to be especially at the tip, it is called as apical meristem. The meristems, the cells are of similar size, shape and structure, and they are going to have the capacity of continuous cell division, are called as meristems. Where are they going to found? They are found at the growing regions or at the tip of the plants. What is the function of meristem? Continuous cell division. As a result, they are going to survive for more years. For example, the sequoia, which comes under the gymnosperms. The sequoia is commonly called as giant redwood tree. Giant redwood tree which survives for more than 3000 to 4000 years. And the gymnosperms, they are commonly called as naked seeded plants because only the ovule is present. The ovary is absent in the seed. In the seed, the ovary is absent. As a result, they are called as naked seeded plants. The oldest plant or the tree is found in the California of the 11,300 years, that is Lara tridenta. Lara tridenta. It is the oldest plant found in the. It is the oldest plant found in the California at the age. The age. It is the. What is the age? It is 11,300 years. The second oldest plant is of 7,000 years, and next of 3,000, 2,500, and so many plants they are of more than 1,000 years. Coming to the lifespan of different plants. The wheat, it is going to survive for 5 months. Rice, it is going to survive for 3 to 7 months. Rose, 5 to 7 years. Banana, 2 to 3 years. White oak tree, 500 years. Banyan tree, which is present in the Kolkata Botanical Garden, so of that is 2.5 years, but the more they are going to survive more than 700 years. In the India, the oldest banyan tree is found in the Kolkata Botanical Garden. And people tree, commonly called as in Kannada Arali Mara, it is going to live for 2000 to 3000 years. And sequoia, that is the giant redwood tree, lives for more than 4000 years. Coming to the lifespan of animals, some of the microorganisms they only survive for few minutes to few hours. May fly, that is, you are going to see in the rainy seasons, in the evening time when you are going to on the light of your house, the flies, they come under the lights. They are commonly called as mayflies. They survive for only a 1 day or 24 hours. In the morning they will come, in the night they will die in the morning. Hence in the morning, if you see in the outside, the if you see the outside, they are all with the dead. Rat, 4 years rabbit, 13 years monkey, 26 years dog, 20 to 30 years cow, 20 to 25 years crow, 15 years fruit fly, 20 to 30 days. The fruit fly lives only for the 2 weeks, approximately 14 days we will tell in the genetics, but here they are given the 20 to 30 days. Fruit fly, it is commonly called as Cinderella of genetics, and the scientific name is Drosophila melanoglaster. Why it is called as Cinderella of genetics? Because the major studies in the genetics has done on the Drosophila. What is the reason? Because they are going to have only 4 pairs of genes, that is 8 genes. Butterfly 1 to 2 week, horse 30 to 40 years, crocodile 60 years, lion 25 years, elephant 65 to 90 years. Approximately they are going to survive for 60 years. Some they are going to survive for 65 to 90 years. The age, it is approximate, and we the human beings survive for 60 to 70 years approximately. Some of the human beings they survive for more than 100 years. Is there a relationship between the size of an organism and its lifespan? No, there is no relationship between size and lifespan of an organism. Yes, there is no relationship between size and lifespan of an organism. For example, the size of the crow and size of the parrot are same, but the crow survives for 15 years, whereas the parrot survives for 150 years. Our Indian parrot they survives for only 13 years. The American parrots they are going to survive for 150 years. Mango tree and the people tree are of same size, but the mango tree survives for 200, whereas the people tree survives for more than 2,500 years. Yes. Next, coming to, why do we say there is no natural death in single celled organisms? Single celled, the question will be asked like this also in the papers, in the second PU theory papers, that is, the microorganisms are immortal in nature, justify your answer. The question will be asked like this also. What is the question? The microorganisms are immortal in nature, justify your answer. Because they are going to avoid the senescence or death. They have no natural death in the microorganisms. Why there is no death? Because those microorganisms, the parent cell itself divides and develops into, the parent cell itself divides and develops into daughter cells. The parents itself develops into the younger ones. How? By the process of binary fission. The help of binary fission, the parent organism divides into two daughter cells are of same size. Hence, the microorganisms are immortal in nature. The best example is amoeba, paramecium, euglena. They are going to multiply by binary fission. So the answer, what is the answer? Why the microorganisms are immortal in nature? Justify your answer. Because the parent cell undergoes binary fission and develops into two individual similar daughter cells. Hence, the microorganisms are immortal in nature. Example, amoeba, paramecium, euglena, etc. Yes, in the other organisms, in the higher organisms, death results in the reduction in number. In the higher organism, death results in the reduction in the number of a population. whereas in the microorganism it results in the multiplication, whereas in the lower organisms it results in the type of reproduction. Here the reproduction is not only the production of new ones, it is also for the survival of the ಪಾಪ್ಯುಲೇಷನ್. ದ ಹೋಲ್ ಪಾಪ್ಯುಲೇಷನ್ ಸರ್ವೈವ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು ಅಂದರೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ರೀಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಇರಬೇಕು. ವಿತೌಟ್ ರೀಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಷನ್ ದ ಪಾಪ್ಯುಲೇಷನ್ ಕುಡ್ ನಾಟ್ ಸರ್ವೈವ್, ಇಟ್ ಮೇ ಎಂಡ್. Hence the death results in the reduction in number in higher organisms, whereas in the lower organism it increases in the number. Reproduction not only produces the young ones, but it also helps in the continuation of the continuation of the population on the earth. Here the life comes from pre-existing life. We know that the life comes from pre-existing life as a result from the process of reproduction. They are going to the organism is going to produce the younger ones. The organism is going to produce the younger ones. Yes. Coming to the reproduction. What is reproduction? It is nothing but the multiplication. I told in the beginning. It is a biological process like digestion, respiration, circulation, excretion, locomotion, neural control and coordination, hormonal balance. Like these are the physiological process. Like these, reproduction is also a process in which the organism gives rise to young ones, in which the organisms gives rise to young ones of its own kind is called as reproduction. Reproduction is a biological process in which an organism gives rise to young ones of its own kind is called reproduction. Young ones grow up and repeat the process. The same process will be repeated by the young ones. The same process will be repeated by the young ones after attaining the maturity. After attaining the maturity. Reproduction thus therefore ensures the continuity of generation. Due to the reproduction itself, there will be continuity in the population from generation to generation. The parents gives us to us, we are going to give rise to our younger ones or our child. Like this, the human population continues from generation to generation by the process of reproduction. The adult ones are called as parents and the younger ones are called as daughters or offsprings. Depending upon the reproduction is classified into two types, that is sexual and asexual. The reproduction is classified into two types, that is sexual and asexual. On what basis they are classified the reproduction? They are classified the reproduction based on the formation and fusion of gametes. Based on the formation and fusion of gametes. Based on the formation and fusion of gametes, the reproduction is classified into two types, that is asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. Yes. So what do you mean by gametes? They are the haploid cells which are going to have the single set of genes. They are the haploid cells going to have the single set of genes are called gametes. Now, which are the example for gametes? The best example for gametes are pollen grains and ovary. When we come to the plants, when we come to animals, they are the sperm and egg. They are commonly called as gametes. Where the gametes are going to produced? The gametes are going to produced inside the gonads. The example for gonads, that is the testes and ovary are the example for gonads, whereas the androecium and gynoecium They are example for gonads in the plants, whereas testes and ovary in the animals. Inside the testes and ovary, the testes and ovary, there are germ cells. The germ cells are going to produce the sperm and egg. Inside the andrecium and the gynecium, they are going to produce the pollen grains and ovary. Pollen grain and sperm are the male gamete, whereas ovary and egg are the female gamete. The reproduction is classified into two types, that is asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. So based on the production and formation of gametes. What are gametes? They are the haploid set with single set of chromosomes or genes. Where are the gametes produced? The gametes are produced inside the gonads. Where are example for the gonads? The testes and ovaries in the animals, and whereas andrecium and gynecium in the plants. Inside the testes and ovaries, they are the germ cells. They undergo meiosis and produces the gametes. Okay. In the body, there are two types of cells. One is the somatic cells. Another one is the germ cells. One is the somatic cells and the other one is the germ cells. The somatic cells, it takes place which are present in the bodies, whereas the germ cells, they are present in the gonads. These germ cells gives rise to gametes. Yes. Coming to the asexual reproduction. What is asexual reproduction? It is a type of reproduction. What is asexual reproduction? It is a type of reproduction in which the single parent gives rise to young ones without the formation and fusion of gametes. What is asexual reproduction? It is a type of reproduction where a single parent produces the young ones without the formation and fusion of gametes. Yes, due to the absence of gametes, it is also called as agamogenesis or agamogamy. It is also called as agamogenesis or agamogamy. Yes. Why asexual reproduction is called agamogamy? Because in the asexual reproduction there is no formation and fusion of what? Gametes. Hence it is termed as agamogenesis or agamogamy. It is also called as somatogenic reproduction. It is also called as somatogenic reproduction. In the asexual reproduction, the daughter cells receives all the genes from single parent. When you are coming to the asexual reproduction, the offsprings or the younger ones receives all the genes or all the chromosomes from the single parent, whereas in the sexual reproduction the younger ones will receive two sets of genes from the different parents, means from the male and female. The younger ones will receive the chromosomes, whereas in the asexual reproduction only a single parent donates all the genes to its daughter cells. Okay, next, the younger ones which are produced from the asexual reproduction are similar. The younger ones which are produced from the asexual reproduction are similar to one another and also to their parents. Okay, the offsprings produced from asexual reproduction are always similar, are always similar to one another and also to their parents, hence they are called as clones. The question will be asked in the first one for 1 marks. What are clones? Genetically similar individuals which resembles their parent are called clones, as well as their parents are called clones. The members of the clones are commonly called rametes. What are rametes? The members of the clones are commonly called as rametes. Yes. Yes, where does the asexual reproduction occurs? Asexual reproduction ಎಲ್ಲಾಗುತ್ತೆ? ಯಾವ organisms ಅಲ್ಲಾಗುತ್ತೆ? ಕೇಳ್ತಾರಲ್ವಾ? So, asexual reproduction always occurs in unicellular organisms, some of the plants and some of the animals. Unicellular organisms. Which are those unicellular organisms? Almost all the unicellular organisms reproduces by asexual method. So amoeba, bacteria, they reproduces by binary fission. Euglena, paramecium, binary fission. Entamoeba, multiple fusion. Sorry, fission, binary fission, multiple fission. So this is when this is in the microorganisms. When you come to the plants, the best example is rose plants. For generally in the hibiscus, in the rose, we are not going to see the seeds. So in these plants, they are going to reproduce us by asexual method. How the rose plant is going to be propagated? It is propagated through stem cuttings. How the hibiscus is propagated? It is propagated through stem cuttings. How is banana propagated? The famous example. You are going to see the banana in the day-to-day life. Then it produces the flowers, but there are no seeds. It produces flowers, fruits, but there are no seeds. Then how does it reproduces banana? It reproduces by the underground stem. Sometimes the underground stem in the banana is called as rhizome, or in the sometimes it is called as sucker. So it is a questions which is going to ask in the CETs, or for the 1 marks question, or for the match the following they are going to ask, or in the match the following they are going to ask. What is the mode of reproduction in banana? At the time you should write both the answers, that is the rhizome and also the sucker. In some textbook they are given the rhizome, in some textbook they are given the what? Sucker. Yes, they are not going to produce the seeds, hence they reproduces by the mode of stem cuttings. Next, ginger. It is also an underground stem called as rhizome. Potato, underground stem, tuber. Next, sweet potato, it's the underground root. Okay. Next, onions, they reproduces by bulbs. Yes, these are the asexual mode of reproduction in the plants. Some of the famous example. Coming to the animals, the poriferans, coelentrates, platyhelminthes, they reproduces by asexual method. The porifera reproduces by internal buds, coelentrata external buds, and the platyhelminthes by the fragmentation, and the higher invertebrate, that is the echinodermata, it is from the what? Fragmentation. The higher invertebrata, that is echinodermata, it reproduces by fragmentation. Like the best example is the starfish. The fragmentation, it may occur from the internally, or it may occur from the externally. So the asexual reproduction commonly occurs in the unicellular organisms like the monera and protista, and in some of the plants like banana, rose, hibiscus, etc. And in some of the animals like the lower invertebrates like what? Porifera, coelentrata, platyhelminthes, and in some of the higher invertebrates like echinodermata, that is starfish. In the porifera, sponges, internal bud, coelentrata, hydra and cycon by the external bud, platyhelminthes by the fragmentation, and the echinodermata by fragmentation. The asexual reproduction is absent higher in all the higher non-vertebrates and all vertebrates. In the vertebrates, for example, fishes, amphibians, reptiles, birds and mammals, the asexual reproduction is completely absent. Okay. So coming to the characteristics of asexual reproduction. What are the characteristics of asexual reproduction? First one, it is the important one. It is always uniparental. Here, the single parent donates all the genes to its younger ones. Okay, the first character for the asexual reproduction, it is always unisexual, where it donates the whole set of chromosomes to the younger ones. Next, second character, mitosis. The cell division is of mitosis. Yes. Coming to the cell division. In the first year, we have studied in the cell cycle regarding the cell division. ಸೆಲ್ ಸೈಕಲ್ ಅನ್ನೋ ಲೆಸನ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಸೆಲ್ ಡಿವಿಷನ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ. ದ ಸೆಲ್ ಡಿವಿಷನ್ ಈಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಟೂ ಟೈಪ್ಸ್, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಮೈಟೋಸಿಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಮಿಯೋಸಿಸ್. ಫಸ್ಟ್, what is cell cycle? So in this, it is nothing but in the cell cycle, the cell first grows. After the growth of the cell, there is a DNA replication. After the DNA replication, there is a cell division. These three processes occurs in a cyclical manner. The occurrence of cell growth, DNA replication and cell division in a cyclical manner is called as what? Cell cycle. The cell division is of two types. One is mitosis and meiosis. In the mitosis, we are going to get only two daughter cells are of similar size and shape. In the meiosis, we are going to found the four different types of cells. They are differ from each other. The daughter cells produced from the meiosis are four and they are different with each other. The daughter cells produced by mitosis are two. They are similar to each other. In the CET, they are going to ask these questions. How many number of daughter cells are produced by mitosis, or how many number of daughter cells are produced from meiosis? So from the mitosis of 2, meiosis of 4. Mitosis is also commonly called as equational division. Meiosis is commonly called as reductional division. Mitosis always occurs in somatic cells, whereas meiosis always occurs in germ cells. Okay, mitosis in the somatic cells like the root, stem, leaf, etc., whereas in the meiosis it occurs in the flowers. Andrecium and gynoecium, andrecium ಮತ್ತು gynoecium ಅಲ್ಲಿ meiosis ಆದರೆ ರೂಟು, ಸ್ಟೆಮ್ಮು, ಲೀಫಲ್ಲಿ ಮೈಟೋಸಿಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅನಿಮಲ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಬಂದಾಗ ಬೇರೆ ಆಲ್ ದ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಕ್ಲೂಡಿಂಗ್ ದ ಗೊನಾಡ್ಸ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಟೆಸ್ಟಿಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಓವರೀಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಬೇರೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಪಾರ್ಟಲ್ಲೂ ಮೈಟೋಸಿಸ್ ಆದರೆ ಟೆಸ್ಟಿಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಓವರೀಸ್ನ ಒಳಗಡೆಗೆ ಮಿಯೋಸಿಸ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಕಮಿಂಗ್ ಟು ದ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್, ದ ಸೆಲ್ ಡಿವಿಷನ್ ಇಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಮೈಟೋಸಿಸ್. ಮಿಯೋಸಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಜನರಲಿ ಆಬ್ಸೆಂಟ್. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಬಂದಾಗ ಸೆಲ್ ಸೈಕಲ್ ನೋಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಇನ್ ದ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಇಯರ್ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ಡ್ ರಿಗಾರ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ದ ಸೆಲ್ ಸೈಕಲ್. ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಸೆಲ್ ಸೈಕಲ್? ದ ಅಕರೆನ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಸೆಲ್ ಗ್ರೋತ್, DNA replication and cell division in a cyclical manner is called as cell cycle. The cell division is of two types, mitosis and meiosis. Mitosis is commonly called as equational division. Meiosis is commonly called as reductional division. From mitosis is 2 and the meiosis is 4. Mitosis always occurs in somatic cells. Meiosis always occurs in the germ cells or inside the gonads, in testes and ovaries, or in andrecium and gynoecium. Next, in the absence of gametes, there is no fusion and formation of gametes. In the asexual reproduction, there is no fusion and formation of gametes. Hence, it is also called as agamogamy. Next, it is fourth one. It is important. It is a quick method of multiplication. What is that? The fourth point is a quick method of multiplication. What is the quick method? What is the meaning? Yes, for sexual reproduction, it requires long period of time. Here, the plant should grow first. After the growth, it produces the flowers, and the flower should go mature. It should produce the gametes. The gametes should be fused, and the fertilization should occur. After the fertilization, the zygote should develop. After the development of zygote, it should be developed into embryo. After the embryo into adult. It require lengthier time, long interval of time for what? Sexual reproduction. Or during a sexual reproduction, it is a quick method. For example, the organisms are surviving in a pond. During summer, the water evaporates more quickly. In the summer season, the water evaporates more quicker than in the rainy season. Under that condition, that becomes unfavorable. That conditions become unfavorable. Under that condition, the organism would not conduct the sexual reproduction because it requires lengthier time. Under that condition, they reproduces by asexual mode. What are the example? Some of the examples like entamoeba and some of the examples of algae. Some of the examples of algae, bryophyte. During unfavorable condition, they reproduce by asexual reproduction by the formation of spores. By the formation of spores. The bryophytes. The example is polytrichum. The example is the polytrichum, and they are going to reproduce by the what? Asexual reproduction, or they are going to produce the spores. Bryophytes, they are commonly called as amphibians of plant kingdom. Bryophytes are commonly called as amphibians of plant kingdom. The bryophytes like Markantia. In Markantia, it produces the jamma. The Markantia produces the jamma. In the jamma, they are going to produce the spores. They are the asexual bodies. And some of the microorganisms, they undergo asexual reproduction, and some of the algae, they undergo asexual reproduction. Yes, it is of a quick method. What is the asexual reproduction? Is a quick method. For what? Here there is no formation fusion of gametes. The formation of fusion of gametes require lengthier time, which it is not conducted during the unfavorable condition. Last one, the progeny produced through asexual reproduction is of uniform size, shape, and other characters, and they are commonly called as clones. They are commonly called as clones. So, the what are the characteristics of asexual reproduction? It is always uniparental, means the younger ones receives the chromosomes or the genes from the single parent itself. Next, second one, the asexual reproduction is carried out by mitosis, not by meiosis. Third point, there is no fusion of gametes. Hence, it is also called as agamogamy. It is a quick method of multiplication, means it is conducted during unfavorable conditions in some of the microorganisms, algae, bryophytes, etc. In the bryophytes, the Markantia produces jamma cups. In the algae, they are going to produce the spores. Algae, they are of variety. Some of them may be freshwater forms, or some of them may be marine water forms. In the freshwater forms, the water evaporates during the summer season due to evaporation. Evaporates in the summer season quicker. During unfavorable condition, they undergo asexual reproduction, and during favorable condition, they undergo sexual reproduction. The progeny produced through asexual reproduction is of uniform size, shape, and other characters. The progeny is produced from the asexual reproduction use of uniform size, shape, and other characters. Hence, they are called as clones. The clones is going to be asked for 1 marks question. It is going to ask for 1 marks question in the second PUC. What are clones? Yes, keep it in mind. And last one, that is the types of asexual reproduction that we discuss in the next class. The types of asexual reproduction. There are various types of asexual reproduction like binary fission, budding, next zoospores, conidiospores, gemmules, fragmentation, regeneration, vegetative reproduction. Yes, they will all be discussed in the next class.